I want to go back briefly to January 6th because I spoke with Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Milley yesterday about the National Guard and their response time. And I want to ask you about what he said because it is in direct conflict with a lot of the testimony from the former head of the D.C. National Guard. Let's watch.
To bring in the amount of guardsmen that we needed, I thought the decision-making was quick, and I thought the Washington, D.C. Guard responded quickly.
Well, according to the commander of the D.C. Guard, now former commander of the D.C. Guard, he had them mobilized, he had them at the Armory, and he had them on buses and could have had them there in 18 minutes. The Capitol was breached around 2 o'clock, but actually it did take several hours. Are you familiar with what happened between the acting Secretary of the Army and others, maybe civilians involved, who delayed the requests of the Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader of the Senate?
I am very familiar with it. And there was, to my knowledge, and I have pretty good personal knowledge on this stuff, there was no specific attempt to delay the deployment of the National Guard. I mean, that's just false.
That isn't false, and I was there, and I can attest to what happened there. But let's hear people talk about it in a commission to find the truth about January 6th. I have the highest regard for General Milley, but he doesn't know the full picture if he is presenting the characterization that you just presented. The fact is that they could have been there very much sooner, and it would have been much less destruction than the rest. But in any event, that's why we're hoping to have a truth commission, a 9/11 type commission. We've yielded on many scores to the Republicans on this. They seem to say, well, yeah, let's have it, but let's look at what happened last summer with some demonstrations that happened. No, this is about January 6th, an insurrection against our democracy. And again, it's no use our having a debate about this. Let's put it on the record under oath so that we can get to the truth. But I can tell you from firsthand knowledge in the room that day that the Secretary of the Army delayed even making the request to the acting Secretary of Defense. And that caused much mayhem. But again, let's not debate it here. Let's either have a commission or we will have a select committee to find the truth, because the American people must have the truth. I want it to be bipartisan because I think that is very important to the integrity of it all in terms of the public view of it. But we will have the truth.
I just want to drill down for a moment. I understand that there was a conference call with leaders, you and the Republican leaders, bicameral, bipartisan, with people at the Pentagon, and you were pleading for help, and it did not arrive.
That's right. And well, again, let me just say this. An assault was made on our democracy. While all that was going on, the people that were instigated by the president to come to the Capitol were trying to get the mahogany boxes that contained the votes of the Electoral College. This was not just any day in the life of the Capitol where they came in to be disruptive. That would be bad enough. This was a day constitutionally required to count the votes and ascertain and certify who would be president of the United States. That disruption of our democracy, done in a violent way to violate the Capitol and our Congress at the instigation of the president, is something that we must set the record straight on. And whatever view that some others may have of the timing of the National Guard coming, I don't think anybody would think it was soon enough.
Do you have any reaction to a federal judge in Atlanta ordering the release from jail of the man photographed with his feet on your desk during the insurrection by citing an appeals court decision about not detaining riot defendants who were not accused of violence?
Well, you know, what I'm concerned about is the behavior of the members of Congress, who on the one hand want to have the luxury of criticizing the president, on the other hand, not wanting to do anything about it. I'm not going into what happens in any particular courtroom. I will never forgive those people and the president who instigated the insurrection for the trauma that they caused to the workers in the Capitol, whether it was the young people who work in our offices, whether it was the custodial staff who make the Capitol run, whether it was the Capitol Police, the trauma that they caused. They've messed up my office, they broke mirrors, they stole stuff and the rest. Who cares? What I do care is the impact, the negative impact, the fright that they instilled in people because they were doing their civic duty in the Congress of the United States.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.